Hello, it's June. Whenever it's June, I'm always happy because one, it's Pride Month, and two, it's my birthday month. But also kind of unhappy and stressed out because it means we're halfway through the year and it's my birthday. So luckily my birthday is at the end of June, but like we're already, what day is it? We're already the 17th. I turned 22 in 10 days. Now we'll see when this is posted. So this might be way after my birthday. This might be right before my birthday. Who knows? I'm gonna try and get this posted this week at the very least. But yes, today we're doing the mid-year book freakout tag, which is a tag that is kind of like mainly just checking in on how your reading is going halfway through the year. And then at the end of the year, I'll probably also do a tag where I just talk about all of the books that I read during 2024. If you see any cats in the background or any bells or scratching or meowing, I've got 3 cats here right now, okay? And they're all lacking brain cells, as we all do in this family. But yes, I did write down all of the questions and the books that I, wanted to answer, and also some talking points, just so that I don't start rambling on and on and on and just end up saying nothing as usual, because I don't know how long my berry is going to last today, because it's not the first thing I filmed today, because I'm also doing 2 different vlogs at the same time, which is fun. But yes, just really quick, I'm gonna mention this in the next couple of videos that I make, if I make any next, except apart from the vlogs, because I am moving very soon, probably in a couple of weeks, because I'm moving. I have to move out of this apartment by like August 15th. So we're gonna start moving out like in August, which is not August, during July, which is next month. So there might not be as many videos, not that there are a lot of videos right now, but like I did have a couple of videos planned, and as you can tell if you've been subscribed to my channel, there haven't been that many like TBRs and wrap-ups and whatever, because I haven't really had the time to sit down and film any videos. Now the book freakout tag, the mid-year book freakout tag, is one of the tags I do want to do every year, just to keep the thing going, and because I like these tags, and it also kind of serves as, catching up to everything that I didn't film, like wrap-ups and reviews and such whatnots. But if you do want more content and like reviews of sorts and TBRs and wrap-ups, I do post a lot more on Instagram than I do on YouTube, so you can follow me on there. And yes, let's get into the video. And my cat is having her zoomies, so that's fun. Come in. We're not even into the video yet, and it's already cats, main characters. Why am I blurry? What am I, 21 Pilot? Hello? My name is Blurry Face. And now we've already got ambulances. Anyways, first question. Best book you've read so far this year? I had a hard time answering this question because, one, I didn't have any books that really stood out yet this year. Like, apart from a couple that I can say, like, these were definitely my favorites. I'm gonna name 2. One of them I'm gonna talk about in length, and the other one I'm just gonna mention because I'm going to mention the other one later. So the best... Pew pew! Mon imprimante! It's either she goes behind my TV or behind my printer. Oh, you're joking? Which was that I had books on there before, like I literally just removed them today, and she just decided that now it's her time to explore this part of the apartment. Pew pew! So Valerie! Pew! Where? Allez, come! Anyways, so the best book that I've read so far this year is Good Morning Darling by Azalea Crowley, which was the very first arc that I had ever received, and then the second one is Have an Official Blessing, which I did start, I think, back in November of 2023, November or December, one of the two. and I ended up finishing it in 2024, which is why I picked Good Morning Darling, because it's, you know, the first book that I started and finished in 2024 that I absolutely adored. Can you tell? Can you tell with the bow and the cardigan? I bought this bow specifically for the main character. What I love the most about this book, first of all, the author is absolutely lovely. I just signed up randomly to get the arc because I saw her post. Now the other cat is climbing on my fucking couch. Anyway, I saw her post about the book and it being like cozy horror romance with autism representation, and I was like, sign me the fuck up. Sign me up. Lola! For once, Fiona is just chilling, and it's the two others that are causing chaos. Lola, descends allez. Ah! And so I signed up randomly to get the arc, and I did get the arc, and I was able to finish it in time to post a review, and I absolutely fell in love with this book. I can't wait for the sequel. I literally made every single one of my book friends read it. I made Steph read it, I made Emily read it, I made Kenzie read it. I don't know who else read it. I think a couple of others read it, but I made sure everybody knew about this fucking book because it was so fucking good. Okay, listen, I know that recently, I think like late 2023 and now also 2024, there's a trend going on with like cozy everything, cozy games, cozy romance, cozy horror, cozy fantasy, all of that, and I'm so here for it because when it comes to like horror, I like the gory stuff, you know, like I like the very scary and gory stuff, but sometimes I just like this scary vibes, okay? And this book literally just has that. It has some body gore and like some actually kind of scary stuff, but all packaged in like something very cozy and cutesy, because the main character is very bubbly and colorful and actually is terrified of everything that is related to death and like scary stuff, like horror stories. Like she doesn't really like those. Like her mother used to tell her like folk tales of like her, like from her culture, and she was just terrified of those things, and she still is in adulthood. And so that paired with her crush, who is literally a monster, and added to that already really fun and like, you know, all the way up my alley premise for a book with those vibes. The main character is also autistic, and the author herself is also autistic, and I just found my perfect combination of favorite author and favorite genre, which is cozy horror with autism and queer representation. What more can you fucking ask? For the smut rating in this, because it is kind of spicy, even though it is on the asexual spectrum, because the male main character is aspec. Specifically, the author mentioned that he is gray sexual, so it is on the A spectrum, but there's still a little bit of spice in there. I would give it like a 3 out of 5 spice rating based on my own experience on reading smut, which is not a lot, but like it was cute, it was fun, and it was not cringy like smut usually makes me feel. Like I didn't cringe at it. It was kind of funny at times because the male main character is from the 1920s 1930s-esque era, and so the way he talks, if you've seen Has Been Hotel, just imagine Alistair, just Alistair. Okay, there are a couple of other characters where apparently other people have compared Eugene, which is the male main character's name, to all I could see was Alistair. Every time I read a dialogue or just, you know, it was from the POV of Eugene, I just read it in Alistair's voice. I couldn't help myself, especially because the man has a permanent smile. Like he has resting smile face. He never does anything else but smile. In the book, I think there was this once or twice where he loses his smile, and that is in reaction to the female main character, whose name is Ella? I'm having a brain fart. I'm horrible with names. Hold on, I think it was it Ella? I'm pretty sure it was Ella. The name Ella pops up in my head. I don't know if it is or not. I still can't navigate Storygraph correctly, unfortunately. Hold on. By the way, if you want to see my full review of this book, it is on Instagram. I absolutely highly recommend it. Hold on, let me find it. Pretty sure. Yes, Ella! It is Ella. I did remember correctly. Hell yeah. Just the whole thing. And also because he has his shadow which is also a creature within itself. And you know, if you've watched Hazbin Hotel, you know what I'm talking about. The shadow stuff, this permanent smile, the 1920s era way of talking, and that during a smut scene should have made me cringe. But even in the book, Ella kind of cringes at it and like tells him to just shut up because it's weird, and it's just really fucking cute. And so it's supposed to make me cringe. Like usually in a like any other book would make me cringe, but this one it did not make me cringe, which I absolutely adore. And I can't wait for the sequel because it left off on kind of a cliffhanger. But I'm very fucking excited. Also, obviously, if you didn't realize, I gave it fucking 5 stars. Like, that was obvious from like 10% into the book. 5 stars, straight up. I loved everything about this book. Literally, there's not a single thing I can think of that I disliked. You wanna know another added bonus too? Other than the author being a lovely human being, she also fucking drew her covers. All of her covers of all of her books, she draws them herself. Talent. Next question is the best sequel that you've read so far this year. Which is, I mean, I've read I haven't read that many sequels this year, which is about part of the course. I could have said the second book in the Heaven Official Blessing series, except that I didn't like that. I didn't like volumes 2 and 3. I didn't hate them, but I also didn't love them, you know what I mean? Anyway, that's not the question. But the only sequel or sequels that I did read this year were the sequels to the Apothecary Diaries. So far I read, I think, from volume 6 to 11 this year. Okay, I only have volume 12 left, and then I have read and own all of the mangas that are already out, which, you know, I don't know when the next one comes out. But yes, right now, if you've been on my channel a couple of times, you will have heard me talk about another manga series that I absolutely adore, Moriarty the Patriot, and have been calling it my absolutely favorite manga of all time. Apothecary Diaries took that title, okay? Absolutely favorite manga of all time right now. Granted, I haven't read that many manga. I'm very new to like reading manga. I've mainly been collecting the series that I do know and like just been continuing to collect those. But so far, Apothecary Diaries is my absolute favorite, and I think it's gonna be very hard to top it because compared to other mystery manga that I've read so far, a lot of the mysteries are more there just for the vibes more than actually putting effort in the mysteries. Apart from Apothecary Diaries, which mysteries are just top tier and like really good without being difficult, and also like it explains, you know, the way the mystery works to the audience without making it feel like they're explaining it to you as if you were a child, you know what I mean? Like, it's obvious things and it's just stating the obvious, and like it makes sense, you know what I mean? And apart from that, Mao Mao is my absolute favorite female main character of any manga, of any anime ever, and it's gonna be very hard to top her because she's just so funny and adorable, and I love her so much. Because when it comes to like female protagonists, especially in manga and anime, usually I don't like them very often because they're usually stereotypes. At least that might be just the manga and anime that I came across. I might be reading the wrong ones, but so far Mama is the one that stands out as like my favorite like of all time. She's just really smart, and also like she just always tries to kind of like keep to herself. Because if you didn't know about the Apothecary Diaries, we follow Mao Mao, who is the daughter of an apothecary, who one day when she went out to collect some things to concoct one of her concoctions, she was actually kidnapped and then enslaved to be I think a servant within the inner court of like fictional imperial China. I hope I'm explaining things correctly. I'm an idiot. But yes, so, and from the get-go, she always tried, like, she can read, which is something that's rare for like anyone that isn't noble at the time, at that time period, because she can read. Like, she would be of better value to her kidnappers, who then now, because of her work, they actually get a part of the money that she earns while working in the inner court. And so she lied and said she can't read so that less money can go to her kidnappers. So that also leads to her kind of like keeping her head down and keeping to herself, just trying to pass by until her contract is over and, like, you know, she gets released again or whatever, until the day that she finds out that some of the concubines are actually getting poisoned, and she can actually figure out what has happened because of her knowledge of poisons and being the daughter of an apothecary and having been surrounded by that kind of stuff her entire life, and literally having a love for it to the point where she would literally experiment poisons on herself, to the point where she has now developed kind of like an immune system to different poisons. Like, she's absolutely insane and I love her. But, you know, her keeping to herself kind of like loses to her good heart, because she doesn't, like, she can't bear the thought of someone dying without her doing anything, which actually leads to her being discovered as, you know, the one who helped out. I think my cat doesn't want us to move because she's been eating the boxes that are already packed. Anyways, where was I at? Alright. So she writes a letter explaining like what exactly is poisoning these concubines who are getting sick. And so Jinchi, who is the male love interest, who is a eunuch within the inner court, and there's also a whole mystery and kind of like plot thing surrounding him as well, that kind of like, he's also very observant, and so he kind of figures out that it's Mao Mao. And so she ends up becoming a food taster for one of the concubines that she saved. And so then now she also earns a lot more, but to make sure that that money that she earns extra doesn't go to her kidnappers, that concubine actually makes sure, like, she makes her break a vase. Like, she pretends to pass a vase to her. She drops it before Mama can grab it and then say, oh, that money that you're supposed to send to your kidnappers, not going to them, that's going to pay back the vase, which she's actually not going to have to pay back. And it's just really fun. And talking about the vase, the dynamic between Mao Mao and Jinchi really reminds me of Haruhi and Tamaki from Ouran High School Host Club, which, if you've watched Ouran High School Host Club, the breaking of the vase is very significant. And so yes, it's very fun. Like, it's in part very story-based when it comes to the mysteries and the characters, but also very like romance-esque and also character-driven, because like Mao Mao has no interest in Jinchi. Like, he is said to be so handsome that in certain situations, if the public were to see him in certain states, like when he just wakes up or like in makeup, people would go to war for this man. That's how beautiful this man is. He's so beautiful that at first she thought he was a woman and then was disappointed when she realized that was a man. Mama has homosexual tendencies and I'm absolutely here for it. And so it's just my absolute favorite manga of all time. It's also the anime. It's absolutely beautiful and it's so fucking good. And apparently the novel that the manga is based off of is even funnier. It's even better. So I'm very excited. I think I'm first going to finish the manga series, then finish the anime, which I already finished like all the episodes that are up to, I think, volume 10 question mark, I think. I don't remember exactly, but you know, the first season is completely out already, and I absolutely loved it, and I can't wait for volume 12 because I flipped through and I got spoiled, and oh my god, I swear if this gets spicy, I'm gonna lose my mind. Anyway, moving on because I've been talking about this one for a bit too long already. My battery is already almost dead, so we're gonna have to speed run some of these, I guess. New release you haven't read yet but want to: The Reappearance of Rachel Price by Holly Jackson. When it comes to Holly Jackson, I absolutely loved A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. I buddy read the entire series with my friends Steph, Kenzie, and Alyssa back in November of 2023. Like, it was literally the book series that got us to become like besties, the Chaos Crew, okay? Like, first it was Steph and I who buddy read A Good Girl's Guide to Murder and Good Girl Bad Blood, and then Kenzie joined in, speed read A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, caught up to us at Good Girl Bad Blood, and then we all read As Good as Dead together, and we were able to witness the absolute mind crash that I was going through while reading that book. And then we also buddy read Killjoy, which is a novella of the series. And so then we also buddy read Five Survive, I think, late 2023. And none of us finished it in 2023 because we were all just like, what the fuck is this? And I ended up finishing it in like early 2024. I give it 1 star, pretend that book doesn't exist. When it comes to Five Survive, I thought, like, let me not talk about it right now because it is on the list, okay? It is within the books in another question. But yes, The Reappearance of Rachel Price. I was very excited for this release before I read Five Survive. Now that I've experienced Five Survive, I'm kind of nervous because I'm scared that it's going to be along the same lines as Five Survive, where like the idea of the story is really good, but the execution is not good. So I'm both excited and nervous, but I'm gonna try and get to this book this year, just because it's Holly Jackson, and right now Holly Jackson is one of my favorite authors. You know, I haven't seen anything negative about this book yet. Also, I haven't seen anything positive. I know it was a buddy read within one of the book clubs, in one of the servers on Discord I'm in, but I didn't see anything about it. I didn't read any of it. I wanted to go into this completely blind without hearing anybody else's opinion on it, so that I can, you know, just be prepared for anything and just not get my hopes up. Like right now, my expectations are lower than hell because of Five Survive. Okay, like I'm not expecting it to be good. I'm not expecting it to be bad. I'm not expecting anything from it. Okay, I'm just very scared but very excited. Question number 4 is most anticipated release of the second half of 2024. That is Celestial Monsters by Aiden Thomas, which, if you didn't know, I read the Sunbearer Trials last year. I think in August of last year, question mark? I think, might be, I don't remember. I read it last year, yes. And my dumbass really thought that that was a standalone because his other book, I think it was a Peter Pan retelling, was a standalone, so I thought this one was going to be one as well, and especially because Cemetery Boys was also a standalone, so I thought this man only writes standalones. And I get to the end of it with the plot twist about my favorite character, and then the book is over and it says to be continued, to be continued. The fuck do you mean to be continued? And at the time that I finished it, there was literally no cover, no release date, no description, no title, no nothing about the sequel. It was like, I know that he's writing the sequel to Cemetery Boys right now, so I was like, it might be 3 years before I have my Sunbearer Trials sequel. Thank God, not 3 years, just 1 year, because it comes out, I think, literally a year after I read it, or close to a year after I read it, which is nice. So yes, it's one of my most anticipated releases of the second half of the year. I try not to look too much into like books that are released this year, mainly just not by authors that I don't follow or like I'm not really interested in, because I'm on a book buying ban and I already broke it multiple times this year. Okay, so Yes, biggest disappointment. 5 Survive by Holly Jackson. No, like I mentioned before, it had a great idea, but a horrible execution. Why? Because listen, when it comes to 5 Survive, the whole concept of it is Agatha Christie-esque. By that I mean that it is said by a group of people within a confined space, and literally it is said from the beginning that one or every single one of them has been keeping a secret, and also the narrator. So you have kind of like an unreliable narrator-esque type thing. Plus, you know, you can't trust every single other person in the friend group. So basically it's a friend group that goes on a road trip that break down on the edge of the road, and they're being chased by a sniper. And so they have to figure out who the sniper is after before, you know, dawn or whatever. Like, they have a certain amount of time before the sniper snipes, you know? And listen, if you've seen my reading vlog of August for the readathon that I joined in August, I talked about A Good Girl's Guide to Murder and how I would love to see Holly Jackson write a thriller, a like horror slash thriller book, like a slasher book, because there's at least in every single one of her books, there is one specific scene that is just chilling, that like I was reading at night and I had to put it down and pick it back up in the morning because I was gonna have fucking nightmares. And I was like, I need this bitch to write a horror thriller right now, and I got it. And it's 5 Survive. Maybe she should stick to just writing one scene in her like cozy, like not cozy book. A Good Girl's Guide to Murder is not cozy. Oh my lord. But you know what I mean. And so yeah, it just was a whole bunch of chaos. Mainly because the main character, the narrator, might also be because I was listening to the audiobook mostly. The narrator is kind of neurodivergent. Like, I'm pretty sure she's written as being either ADHD or autistic, or maybe a mix of both. It might also be not really like mental disability related, but just the fact that the trauma of her losing her mom. The main character, I think her name was Red, she lost her mom, who was a cop, like right after they had a fight, and so it kind of like took a toll on her, and so her memory was kind of like wacky and all of that. And so there's a whole mystery in that whole thing. The thing is, the book is like this thick, okay? It takes place in an entire night, so it's just filled with a whole lot of nothing, a whole lot of talking, a whole lot of repetitive stuff. And so, like I mentioned with Agatha Christie, when you look at Agatha Christie books that are like within that style of writing, where it's just like one confined space and a group of characters, and you have to kind of like listen and read the clues and whatever, and like the investigation takes place in the room with the people that were in the room. It's like this small. It's either 100 pages or a little over 100 pages. This book was probably like 400 pages long. So with that concept, it doesn't work with the length of the book that she was like aiming for. I think it would have been much better in the format of like a novella. It's kind of like a short thriller than the full novel that she had written for it. It didn't work for me. It just didn't work. So like I mentioned, great idea. Like, I would love to see her give another shot to like the horror thriller genre, because I know she can do it. Because the beginning of that book, like the vibes of it were spooky, it was scary, okay? It was what I wanted, but just not the pacing and the story and the telling of it. Like, it was a lot more YA feeling that A Good Girl's Guide to Murder was, because it had similar writing, but it just didn't feel like as immersive as A Good Girl's Guide to Murder was, which, you know, it's kind of unfair to compare it to A Good Girl's Guide to Murder because it's a completely different, like, you know, it's not part of the series, but it's her debut series, and it's her most successful work to date. So I am going to compare it to it, obviously. So yeah, it was just very disappointing, but I'm very excited for the reappearance of Rachel Price, because I want to see if A Good Girl's Guide to Murder was like a one-hit wonder, or if Five Survive was the one failure for me. You know what I mean? Biggest surprise, the Mindfuck series by St. Abby, which I read in February as part of a readathon. Girl, listen. Where? Where, baby? Where? She's gonna climb on my shoulder. She wants cuddles. She's gonna climb on my shoulder. She's gonna climb on my shoulder at one point when I keep talking and ignoring her. She's gonna climb on my shoulder and rub her face into my neck.
I would like to inform you that your magical ringing device is vibrating in your pocket. The static is quite annoying. Pick up your phone!
Anyway, so can we? Anyways, what is that? All right, Mindfuck series. So if you know me, you would know that I do not like reading smut, because majority of the time it makes me cringe, and also I'm aesthetic, so I don't often like smut. Also, just romance in general, it's usually my favorite part of it is like as a subplot more than like the main plot of a book or any story. That is also the same thing with smut. But like when I first heard of this series, you know, it was recommended as, you know, a FBI agent and a female serial killer, and I was like, I'm a Criminal Minds girly, okay? And if you've read the series, literally I know that this author is a fan of Criminal Minds because of the books, okay? This entire series, I can literally pinpoint every single episode that inspired any chapter or book or like any case that is like within the book. I know which episode she like used as inspiration. I can just tell. I can tell, and I love it. I absolutely adore it, and I also can tell like which characters inspired other characters within the book. I absolutely love it. I absolutely fell in love with it. It's like also like the like actual like murder like slash mystery aspect of it were really good. Again, I think that this author was really a fan of Criminal Minds because of the way that it was written. It was really good. It was really fun, and I was not expecting to love it as much as I did. I did look up a lot of the trigger warnings, which at first put me off, and I was like, maybe I'm not going to read this right now because I'm not really in the mood for that kind of like trauma. But I actually ended up picking it up like as audiobook, so that it felt more like a podcast than an actual book. And you know, I liked it a lot. Like, it was really surprising of how much I loved it. I think every single book I rated it 5-star, despite the bisexual representation in this kind of being iffy, because as a lot of like times when, I don't know if the author was straight, because apparently the author is dead, apparently, so I don't know if the author was straight or not, but you know, often when it comes to like straight authors, I'm not gonna say that, like, more often than not, that authors that aren't bisexual, the bisexual representation very often coincides with polyamory, which are not the same thing. They're not the same thing. And so, but luckily in this, it was not like fetishized the same way that it was in the book that I'm not going to mention because I'm not going to start a war in my fucking comment sections. But the two characters who are together, they're both bisexual. One is a guy, one is a girl, and when they get together, they actually end up like each picking which partner they are, like, which third person they're gonna come like take like as a one-night stand, like all together, kind of like having a polyamorous relationship while both being bisexual, which I think is even better than the other book that I'm thinking of, because they're both said to be bisexual, but they are in a polyamorous relationship. Like, they have polyamorous relationships with other people together. So that's, you know, the representation kind of iffy, but it's a lot better than what I've seen from other authors that aren't bisexual. Not that I know if the author was bisexual or not, but just based on the way that the bisexuals are written, that's just the way I'm like thinking of it. But yes, for a smut series, I was very surprised of how much I loved it. Is it realistic? No. Do I care? No. but it was really like, if for the ones who have experienced SA or any kind of violence in that sort, this book is probably kind of like very liberating to read, because it is kind of like, murder is wrong, okay? Murder is wrong, but like the rage that you have when that kind of thing happens to you, having a story like that, the way that it's written, is very liberating. I'm not gonna get into anything. I'm not gonna start crying. I'm gonna move on. New favorite author, MXTX, the author of Have an Official Blessing, Grandmaster of Demonic Cultivation, and Scum, the Scum villain something. I just bought book 1 and 2 of that series. I don't ask me to pronounce the full title of that, okay? Like I mentioned before, I started reading Have an Official Blessing late 2023, I think November or December 2023, and I'm currently on book 4, and I also just started Grandmaster of Demonic Cultivation, which both of the series are getting a vlog. So by the time that this video is uploaded, I don't think that either of those vlogs are going to be uploaded, so you know, stay tuned for that. But yes, and already after reading Have an Official Blessings alone, like the first one, I was already very in love with the writing, even though it can be like very tacky and weird when you first get started with her books. It's mainly because of like the translations, because the translation from Chinese to English can be kind of weird. Also like the wording of things, and you know, just the way certain things are written can be very strange, but that's just the translation. And once you get past like the first 100 pages or even less, you kind of get used to the writing, and it becomes really fun until you start sobbing. But yes, as I mentioned before, the two like books 2 and 3 of Have an Official Blessings are not my favorite. So far my ranking is book 1, 2, and 3. 3 is at the bottom for a very specific reason, but as a whole, I really love this author because of the writing and the chaos, even though both Have an Official Blessing and Grandmaster of Demonic Cultivation are 2 different series. They have their own style to them, but you can still feel like, you can tell that this is MXTX's writing, okay? And by that I mean, I want someone to check on this woman, because Miss Girl, are you okay? But yes, I also love the whole mystery behind the author, because if you didn't know, the author, no one has ever seen her face. No, I also think MXTX, which her full name is Moshang Tong Shi. I think that's how you pronounce it. Don't take that my word for it. That's how you pronounce it. I don't think that's her real name. I think that's a pseudonym, and no one has ever seen her face. No one knows who she really is, and I absolutely love that. It's mainly because of, you know, China being China, and it being like gay books, and you know, anything gay apparently really gets you into jail apparently. So you know, that whole thing. But I like the mystery behind it, and also I like her writing. I like the chaos. I hope she's okay, both because of where she's at, what she's writing, so you know, I love her. Newest fictional crush, Yushi Huang from Have an Official Blessing. I haven't met her yet, but the first ever character quiz I took for Have an Official Blessing, I got her multiple times. Until now, I got Fuyao. I got Fuyao the last time that I took the test, which is concerning that it switched up so quickly. But yes, I got her for the first couple of times I did the test, and so I like keep seeing fan arts of her. And also I know she pops up in volume 5, which I do own, and I saw her and I'm very excited because of the things that I've seen about her. And she just sounds so lovely, and I love her. I want her to be my friend. Question number 9. Wow, we're already on 9. Newest favorite character, Mama from the Apothecary Diaries, for the reasons I mentioned before. Mama is just so chaotic, and also she might have a touch of autism, which you know is a headcanon that I do for many of my favorite characters. I realized a lot of like the characters I say are my favorite, I later on realized that they're heavily autistic coded, and Mama is no different. I also have a very awful obsession with poisons and how they work, what they do, where they're from, how they were used, and the past centuries as poisons, you know, mostly by women to get rid of their abusive husbands, aka Julia Tofana. So yeah, it's, you know, I love Mau Mau. Also, I just love that her name just literally just sounds like a cat meowing, Mau Mau. And they also, in the anime and in the manga, the chibi version of her that they sometimes use like for like comedic parts, they literally just make her look like a cat, and I love her. Question number 10, a book that made you cry. Before the Coffee Gets Cold by Toshikazu Kawaguchi. Toshikazu Kawaguchi. I will be able to say that name without reading it at one point. Fuck whoever said that this was cozy. Fuck whoever said that this was cute. Bitch, I sobbed my way through that book. What do you mean? If you don't know what The Coffee Gets Cold is about, it's kind of like, it is pretty cozy with the setting, but the stories are so sad. Basically, you have this coffee shop that has a specific spot, like a specific chair, that if you sit there and order a coffee, a specific coffee, that you can travel back in time to meet one person for the last time. You can't move from the chair, you can get up, you can't like move around, do anything, you have to stay on the chair, and that's like how you travel back in time to meet a person, you know, for the very last time. And then, you know, and you have to do what you want to do before the coffee gets cold, and you can only go back once. That's the rule. You can only go back once. You can't move from the chair, and you have to stay. You have to make sure you get back before the coffee gets cold. And so you have to drink the coffee before it gets cold to get back. Otherwise, you're stuck as a ghost, basically. And it's, the concept of it is already very intriguing, and it sounds very silly, but it's the stories in this, okay? I'm already going to cry again just thinking about some of these. It's true, because it doesn't follow a specific character, it follows multiple characters, like back to back. And there's one specifically who, I think it's her husband, who has Alzheimer's, and she goes back in time. I think it's one of the two. One of them goes back in time to give the other a letter to basically tell them like how much they love them. It's fuck whoever said this was cozy. This is fucking depressing, and I can't wait to get to the next books, because I guess there is more sobbing. A book that made you happy is the next question, which that is not really in my like repertoire. That is not really on my shelves to have happy books. But the book that like really brought me joy, the most joy this year, is Good Morning Darling by Azalea Crowley. Just because of like, it was so much fun. That book was so much fun. It had me giggling. Okay, it had me giggling. It had me laughing for the majority of the book. I absolutely love that book so much. And I will continue to shove it into people's faces until they literally kill me. Most beautiful book you've bought or received so far this year? I'm gonna have to say Have an Official Blessing Volume 4 because it was Yora who bought that book for me. Before I even bought book 3, which is why I bought book 3 physically, because you know I had to get the full collection, you know. And the only reason I'm picking that one is because the cover. I'm gonna put it somewhere here on the screen. Literally in the note that she put along with the book was "enjoy the cover," and I was like, how am I supposed to read this in public? How am I supposed to read this at home with my mom? Hello, she's attacking my phone charm. She's going to be attacking my phone charm now. Anyway, and now the last question: what are the what books do you need to read before the end of the year? I've got a couple. Now, see, I want to finish the entirety of Have an Official Blessing this year, just because I started late last year, and I don't want to be stuck again with a 8-book series for 2 years, because if you know me, you know that my usual thing is to read one book of a series a year. I would read the first book in a series 1 year, the second one exactly a year later, and so on and so forth, and then I'm stuck with like, usually it's like 3 or 4 books, and so I'm stuck with like 4 years of the same series, and I don't want to do this with Have an Official Blessing, or any danmei. I'm trying to get rid of that like thing of doing that, and so I'm starting with Heaven Official Blessing, also trying to get through Grandmaster of Demonic Cultivation, and also Stars of Chaos, and now also Scum Villain, to kind of get into every single danmei series that I own so far. Also try to finish most of the manga that I own, because I've been really buying a lot of manga recently, and I don't want to do it the same way that I do with books, where I buy a ton of them and then read like one every so often. That's why I've really been prioritizing manga and danmei and manhwa so far this year, and I hope to finish my entire manga collection this year, which I'm more than halfway done with right now, question mark. I've already bought a couple of more a couple of days ago. Anyways, then also Something More by Jackie Kalalea, I think is how you pronounce her name. She said that she doesn't get mad at people mispronouncing her name, but I do try to pronounce it correctly, even though I'm pretty sure I'm butchering it. Who's a autistic Palestinian Canadian author, and it was one of my most anticipated books of the year as well, because of the autistic representation. But then also finding out that the author is also Palestinian, it was really just, you know, making me want to read a lot more because of the genocide that is going on. I think it's very important to get into those books a lot right now to understand Palestinian voices and, you know, support them, especially right now and what they're going through. And there was another book on the list, but I just realized that that one is under the St. Martin's Press boycott, so I'm not going to mention it. So unfortunately for SMP, they could have gotten a free promo, but they can't because they refused to, you know, hold one of their employees accountable for their Islamophobia. So I guess that's the list of the books that I still want to read this year. And oh my god, I was able to finish this video before my battery ran out. Oh my god. So yes, I'm gonna get this bitch charged up now so I can continue vlogging. But yes, those were all of the books so far that I can think of. I haven't read that much this year. My goal is 50 and I'm at 39 right now, so I'm close to finishing it. I was hoping to already be done by it by now because it's June, so I was hoping to get the 50 by June, but I guess 50 will be the goal for by the end of the year. I think it was the same goal as I had last year. I think I stopped my like adding goal to my goal of 2023, which I end up just stopping at either 30. I think I stopped at 30, 35 I think, and I ended up reading like 50 books last year. No, maybe more. I don't remember how many books I read last year. I can't fucking remember. And so I just decided to put it at 50. If I read more, good. If I read less, that's fine. Especially because this year I am both working and moving, so I'm not gonna be able to have as much time reading, especially because I also have another con this year in November, so I'm very excited for that. And so yeah, I don't know how much I'll still be able to read. We're halfway done with June already and I haven't finished any books. I think I'm gonna try and read some manga and graphic novels to kind of fill up just that part of the month, so I at least have something finished this month. And my battery is about to die, so thank you guys so much for watching. I hope I see you guys next time, and yeah, let me know what books you read so far this year. How many did you finish so far? Did you reach your goal? Did you not? What's your goal? And that sort of thing. My socials are in the description. Like I mentioned at the beginning, I am a lot more on Instagram, which is linked down below. I also have a Discord book club where right now the book club pick is Grandmaster of Demonic Cultivation, and you might be able to help what book we read next month. Goodbye.